I'll have to go back to Seoul soon. The company needs me.
I don't want you to leave.
Mommy, Daddy, come feed the ducks with me.
I don't want you to leave, Jihoon. I just got you back.
I know, but I have to.
Naomi's fist connected with the punching bag in her home gym, the impact reverberating up her arm. Again and again. Sweat dripped down her face, but she didn't stop. Couldn't stop. Because stopping meant thinking, and thinking meant remembering the look on Aiden's face when she'd confronted him. The casual cruelty of, "Does it matter?" when she'd asked if any of it had been real. She hit the bag harder. Her knuckles were probably bruised beneath the boxing gloves, but she didn't care. 8 months. 8 months of letting that man into her life, into her daughter's life, into her bed. 8 months of missing every single red flag because she'd been so desperate for safety that she'd chosen a predator instead. The worst part? Ji-hoon had tried to warn her, had walked into her office with evidence, with proof, with desperation in his eyes, and she'd thrown him out, called him pathetic, accused him of sabotaging her relationship. Another punch, then another. "Mommy?" Naomi spun around, breathing hard. Kiara stood in the doorway of the gym in her purple pajamas, Buddy the dinosaur clutched to her chest, her eyes wide and worried. "Baby, what are you doing up? It's early." Naomi pulled off the gloves and grabbed a towel, wiping her face. "You were making loud noises. Are you mad?" No. Yes. At herself mostly. At her own stupidity. At how badly she'd misjudged everything. "Just exercising, sweetheart. Come here." Naomi crouched down, and Kiara ran into her arms. She smelled like sleep, and strawberry shampoo and innocence. "Did I wake you?" "Uh-huh. Are you sad about Aiden?" Naomi's chest tightened. They'd had the conversation yesterday. Age-appropriate explanations about how sometimes grown-ups realize they're not right for each other. Kiara had taken it better than expected, but kids were perceptive. They sensed things adults tried to hide. "A little bit sad," Naomi admitted, because lying to Kiara felt wrong. "But not for the reasons you think. I'm sad that I made a mistake. But mistakes help us learn, right?" "That's what you always tell me." "Then I should probably listen to my own advice." Naomi kissed her forehead. "How about we make pancakes? Your favorite?" Kiara's face lit up. "With chocolate chips? Is there any other kind?" They went to the kitchen together, the early morning sun just starting to filter through the floor-to-ceiling windows of the penthouse. Naomi mixed batter while Kiara sat on a stool at the island, swinging her legs and chattering about her dreams. Something about dinosaurs and sea lions having a race. Normal 5-year-old things that had nothing to do with corporate espionage or romantic betrayal. This was what mattered. This little girl. This life they'd built together. Everything else was just noise. But as Naomi flipped pancakes, her mind drifted to the phone call last night. To Ji-hoon's voice, gentle and concerned, asking if she was okay. To the way her chest had ached when she'd apologized. To the way he'd said always when she'd thanked him for trying to protect her. She'd spent 4 years being angry at him for not trusting her. And then she'd done the exact same thing to him. He'd tried to warn her, and she'd chosen Aiden's lies over Ji-hoon's truth. Maybe she was the one who hadn't learned how to trust. "Mommy, you're burning the pancake." Naomi blinked, smoke rising from the pan. She flipped it quickly, revealing a very dark brown pancake. "Oops, this one's mine." "You can't eat burned food. It's bad for you." "Then I guess we'll give it to the birds on the balcony." After breakfast, after Kiara was dressed and playing in her room, Naomi stood in her home office staring at her phone. She'd been staring at it for 10 minutes, thumb hovering over Ji-hoon's contact. There were things she needed to say. Things that couldn't be said over the phone at midnight when she was raw and broken. She needed to see his face. Needed to be honest in a way she hadn't been honest with anyone in years. Before she could talk herself out of it, she typed, Can we talk? In person. There's something important I need to say. The 3 dots appeared immediately. He'd been waiting. Anytime. Anywhere. Her heart did something complicated in her chest. That cafe near Central Park? The one where we first met with Kiara? 2 o'clock? I'll be there. Naomi set down the phone and took a shaky breath. This was it. No more walls. No more pretending she didn't feel what she felt. No more punishing Ji-hoon for sins he'd spent months trying to atone for. She was terrified. At 1:45, Naomi dropped Kiara at her mother's house. Her mom took one look at her face and pulled her into a hug. Whatever you're about to do, baby, do it from the heart. Not from the fear. How did you? I'm your mother. I know when you're scared. She pulled back, hands on Naomi's shoulders. And I know who you're going to see. Is it that obvious? You've been different since he came back. Softer around the edges even when you were trying to be hard. And that man looks at you like you hung the moon. Her mother smiled. Go. Talk to him. And for once in your stubborn life, let yourself be happy. The cafe was quiet for a Saturday afternoon, only a few tables occupied. Ji-hoon sat in the back corner, the same table where they'd first brought Kiara weeks ago. He stood when he saw her, his eyes searching her face with concern. Hi, she said, suddenly awkward. How did you start a conversation like this? Hi. He gestured to the chair across from him. I ordered you a coffee. Vanilla latte, no foam. Unless you've changed. No, that's still my order. She sat down, wrapping her hands around the warm cup he slid, across the table. You remembered. I remember everything. They sat in silence for a moment, the weight of everything unsaid pressing down on them. Naomi took a breath, forced herself to meet his eyes. I owe you an apology. A real one. Ji-hoon started to speak, but she held up her hand. Please, let me get this out. She set down her coffee cup because her hands were shaking. You tried to protect me. You walked into my office with evidence, with proof that Aiden was using me, and I threw you out. I called you pathetic. I accused you of sabotaging my relationship because you were jealous. Naomi, I was wrong. About all of it. You weren't jealous. You weren't sabotaging anything. You were trying to save me from making a terrible mistake, and I was so determined not to trust you, so committed to keeping my walls up, that I trusted the wrong person instead. Her voice cracked. You had every reason to walk away, to say, I told you so, and let me deal with the consequences. But you didn't. When I called you last night, falling apart, you were just there. Like you've been there every Wednesday for months. Like you've been trying to be there since the day you found out about Kiara. Ji-hoon reached across the table, stopping just short of touching her hand. You had every right not to trust me. I broke that trust 4 years ago in the worst possible way. You did. But you've spent months earning it back. Showing up. Being patient. Respecting every boundary I set even when I could see it was killing you. She turned her hand over, palm up, an invitation. And I was too scared to see it. His hand covered hers, warm and solid and everything she'd been denying herself. Scared of what? Of this. Of you. Of feeling anything again. She looked at their joined hands, his thumb tracing small circles on her palm. After you left, after I had Kiara alone, I built these walls. I told myself I'd never let anyone hurt me like that again. I'd be strong. Independent. I didn't need anyone. You are strong. You're the strongest person I know. But strength shouldn't mean being alone. It shouldn't mean never letting anyone in. She finally looked up at him, let him see everything she'd been hiding. When you came back, those walls went even higher. Because you were the one who hurt me most. You were the one I'd loved most. And I thought if I let you in again, if I let myself feel anything, you'd destroy me all over again. I won't. His grip on her hand tightened. I swear to you, Naomi, I will spend the rest of my life proving that I won't. I know. That's what scares me. Because I want to believe you. God, I want to believe you so badly. Tears burned behind her eyes. And maybe I already do. Then believe me. He stood up, came around the table, knelt beside her chair so they were eye level. Believe that I love you. That I never stopped loving you. That every single day for 4 years I regretted what I did. Believe that seeing you again, getting to know our daughter, being part of your lives even in this small way has been the greatest gift I could ask for. Jihoon, I'm not asking you to forgive me. I'm not even asking you to take me back. I'm just asking you to believe that my love for you is real, that it's always been real. Naomi couldn't speak, couldn't breathe. 4 years of buried feelings were clawing their way to the surface and she couldn't push them down anymore. Didn't want to push them down anymore. I never stopped either, she whispered. Jihoon's breath caught. What? I never stopped loving you. Even when I wanted to. Even when I tried. Even when I was with Aiden and telling myself I'd moved on. The tears fell now, hot and fast down her cheeks. You were my person, Jihoon. You were the love of my life. And losing you broke something in me that I don't think ever healed. Naomi. His voice was wrecked. These past months, watching you with Kiara, seeing how good you are with her, how patient and present and everything a father should be, it's been torture. Not because I hated you, but because it reminded me of what we could have had, what we threw away, what I was too scared to reach for again. Say it again. He cupped her face in his hands, thumbs wiping away her tears. Please, say it again. I love you. I never stopped loving you. He kissed her then. Not gentle, not tentative, but 4 years of longing and loss and desperate hope poured into one moment. Naomi kissed him back with everything she had, her hands fisting in his shirt, pulling him closer. The cafe, the other customers, the entire world disappeared until there was only this. Only them. Only the truth neither of them could deny anymore. When they finally broke apart, both breathing hard, Jihoon rested his forehead against hers. I've dreamed about hearing you say that. Every night for 4 years. I'm sorry I made you wait so long. You're worth waiting for. You've always been worth waiting for. He pulled back slightly, his eyes searching hers. Where do we go from here? Reality crashed back in. Naomi became aware of the cafe around them, of the other customers politely not staring, of the fact that her heart was racing and her lipstick was probably smeared and everything was moving so fast. We should take it slow, she heard herself say. For Kiara's sake. Figure out what we are before we... Of course. Jihoon stood, helped her to her feet. Whatever pace you need. I'm not going anywhere. But as he said it, as she looked at him standing there with kiss-swollen lips and love in his eyes, Naomi knew they were lying to themselves. There was nothing slow about the way her heart hammered when he touched her. Nothing cautious about the way her body responded to his proximity. They could say slow, all they wanted. They both knew better. Wednesday? She asked. Same time, with Kiara? I'll be there. He hesitated, then added, Unless... Would you want to do something before then? Just us? She should say no, should maintain distance, should be sensible. Dinner? Tomorrow night? His smile could have lit the entire city. Tomorrow night. I'll pick you up at 7. It's a date. They stood there for another moment, neither wanting to leave, both knowing they had to. Finally, Jihoon kissed her forehead, gentle and sweet, and walked away. Naomi watched him go, her lips still tingling, her heart doing acrobatics in her chest. Taking it slow. Right. They were definitely taking it slow. The next evening, Naomi changed her outfit 3 times before settling on a simple dress that was elegant without being too formal. She felt like a teenager getting ready for prom, not a 32-year-old CEO who'd been married before. Her mother had agreed to take Kiara for the night without asking questions, though her knowing smile had said everything. The doorbell rang at exactly 7. Naomi took a breath, checked her reflection one more time, and opened the door. Ji-hoon stood there in dark jeans and a button-down shirt, holding flowers. Not roses, she noticed. Peonies. Her favorite. The ones he used to bring her when they were married. You remembered, she said softly. I told you. I remember everything. He held out the flowers. You look beautiful. Thank you. Come in for a second while I put these in water. He stepped into her apartment and Naomi was suddenly, acutely aware that this was the first time he'd been inside her home. The space she'd built without him, the life she'd created from the ashes of their marriage. It felt significant, letting him into this sanctuary. This is nice, Ji-hoon said, looking around at the modern decor, the floor-to-ceiling windows showcasing the Manhattan skyline. Very you. Is it? She filled a vase with water, arranging the peonies. Elegant, strong, beautiful. Yeah, it's very you. He walked to the windows, hands in his pockets. Kiara's room is down that hall? Second door on the right, the one covered in dinosaur stickers. He smiled. I'd expect nothing less. Naomi set the vase on the dining table and grabbed her purse. Ready? Actually, Ji-hoon turned from the window. I was thinking, we could stay in, order takeout, talk without a restaurant full of people around us. Her pulse quickened. Staying in meant intimacy, meant being alone together in close quarters, meant testing the taking it slow resolve they'd both agreed to. You want to stay here? Only if you're comfortable with it. We can still go out if you prefer. No. Here is good. Here is perfect, actually. She set down her purse. What kind of food? What do you like these days? Thai. Extra spicy. Some things never change. His smile turned fond. Some things never change. They ordered food and opened a bottle of wine Naomi had been saving for a special occasion. This qualified, she decided. As they waited for delivery, they sat on her couch, the same couch where she'd sat with Aiden less than a week ago. But this felt different. This felt right, in a way nothing with Aiden ever had. Tell me about the cancer, Naomi said, pulling her feet up under her. Really tell me. Not the sanitized version you gave me. I want to know what it was like. Ji-hoon's jaw tightened, but he nodded. It was hell. The surgery wasn't too bad. They caught it early enough that it was mostly preventative. But the chemo... He stared at his wine glass. I've never felt so sick in my life. Couldn't eat. Couldn't sleep. Lost all my hair. Lost 30 pounds. There were days I genuinely wished I would just die because at least then the pain would stop. Naomi's chest ached. Were you alone? My father was there, when he wasn't running the company. But we've never been close, not emotionally. He looked at her. I thought about calling you so many times, especially on the bad days. I'd have my phone in my hand, your contact pulled up, and I'd just stare at it, wanting to hear your voice so badly. But I'd made my choice. I'd pushed you away to protect you. Calling you would have been selfish. It wouldn't have been selfish. It would have been human. She set down her wine and took his hand. Can I see? The scars? He hesitated, then set down his own glass and unbuttoned his shirt. Naomi's breath caught at the scar running across his lower abdomen, still pink and raised even years later. There were other marks too, small circular scars on his chest where the port had been for chemo, evidence of everything he'd endured alone. Without thinking, she reached out and traced the surgical scar with her fingertips. Ji-hoon's breath hitched, but he didn't move. Her fingers traveled up to his chest, feeling his heartbeat thundering beneath her palm. I should have been there, she whispered. You're here now. Their eyes met, and the air between them charged with electricity. Naomi's hand was still on his chest, feeling the rapid beat of his heart that matched her own. Ji-hoon's eyes were dark with want and love and restraint that was clearly taking everything he had. We said slow, Naomi breathed. We did. His voice was rough, strained. I don't want slow. Something in his expression shifted. ignited. Thank God. He kissed her, and there was nothing gentle about it. 4 years of longing exploded between them. Naomi's hands went to his hair, pulling him closer. His hands spanned her waist, then slid up her back, pulling her against him. She ended up in his lap somehow, straddling him on the couch, the kiss deepening until she couldn't think, couldn't breathe, could only feel. The doorbell rang. They broke apart, both panting. That's the food, Ji-hoon managed. Ignore it. Naomi. He laughed breathlessly. We should eat. I'm not hungry for food. His eyes went impossibly darker. You're killing me. Good. She kissed him again, slower this time, savoring it. But fine, food first. Then? She climbed off his lap, took his hand, pulled him to standing. Then we see where the night takes us. They ate Thai food straight from the containers, sitting on her living room floor like they used to when they were first married, when they were young and in love and the world was simple. They talked about everything. His treatment, her pregnancy, the years they'd missed, the moments they wished they could have shared. I wanted to tell you so badly, Naomi said, setting down her empty container. When I found out I was pregnant. You were the first person I wanted to call. The only person. What stopped you? Pride. Fear. The belief that you'd left because you didn't love me anymore. I thought telling you about the baby would look like I was trying to trap you, force you to come back out of obligation. She picked at the label on her wine bottle. I didn't want you to come back because you had to. I wanted you to come back because you wanted to. I always wanted to. From the moment I walked away, I regretted it. Ji-hoon moved closer, closing the distance between them on the floor. If I could go back? If I could do it all differently? We can't go back. We can only move forward. Then let's move forward. Together this time. Naomi looked at him, really looked at him. At the man he'd been, and the man he'd become. At the father he was trying to be. At the way he looked at her like she was his entire world. She'd spent 4 years afraid of this feeling, afraid of being vulnerable again. But maybe vulnerability wasn't weakness. Maybe it was the bravest thing she could do. I'm scared, she admitted. Me too. What if we mess it up again? Then we figure it out. Together. But Naomi, I'm not going anywhere, not this time. Not ever. He took her hand, pressed it to his chest where his heart beat strong and steady. I'm all in. Whatever this is. Wherever it goes. I'm in. She leaned forward and kissed him. Soft at first, tender, but it deepened quickly. 4 years of denied desire couldn't be contained by slow kisses and good intentions. Her hands went to his shirt, unbuttoning where he'd left off earlier. His hands cupped her face, then slid into her hair, then down her back, pulling her closer. Bedroom? She breathed against his mouth. Are you sure? I've never been more sure of anything. She stood, held out her hand. He took it and let her lead him down the hall to her bedroom. It was dark, except for the city lights streaming through the windows, casting everything in a soft glow. Naomi's hands shook slightly as she reached for the zipper of her dress, but Ji-hoon caught her hands. Let me. His voice was rough with want. He unzipped her dress slowly, reverently, his knuckles grazing her spine and sending shivers through her entire body. The dress pooled at her feet and she stepped out of it. His eyes traveled over her, dark with desire and something deeper. Love. Pure, uncomplicated love. You're so beautiful, he whispered. More beautiful than I remembered. Ji-hoon's hands found her waist, pulled her flush against him. She could feel every plane of his body against hers, could feel how much he wanted her. He walked her backward until her legs hit the bed, and she sat down, looking up at him. I love you, he said, cupping her face. I need you to know that. This isn't just physical for me. It's never been just physical. I know. She reached for him. I love you too. Now stop talking and kiss me. He laughed, low and rough, and then he was on the bed with her, his body covering hers, his mouth claiming hers in a kiss that erased any remaining doubt. This was right. This was where she was supposed to be. In his arms, in his bed, in his life. Clothes disappeared between heated kisses and whispered words. His hands relearned her body while hers relearned his. Every touch was electric, every kiss a promise. When he finally moved over her, when they finally came together after 4 years apart, Naomi gasped at the intensity of it. Not just physical, though that was overwhelming enough, but emotional, spiritual, like two halves of the same soul finding each other again. I missed you. Ji-hoon breathed against her neck, his voice breaking. God, Naomi, I missed you so much. I'm here. I'm right here. Her hands gripped his shoulders, her body arching into his. I'm not going anywhere. They moved together like they'd never been apart, like 4 years hadn't passed. It was passionate and tender and desperate and perfect. When it was over, he buried his face in her neck, whispering, I love you, over and over like a prayer. After, they lay tangled together, breathless and completely undone. Naomi's head rested on Ji-hoon's chest, her fingers tracing idle patterns on his skin. His hand ran through her hair, gentle and soothing. So much for taking it slow, she said, a smile in her voice. Ji-hoon's chest rumbled with laughter. We lasted less than 24 hours. I'm not sorry. Neither am I. He kissed the top of her head. Stay like this. Don't move. I want to remember this moment forever. They lay in comfortable silence for a while, just breathing, just being. The city. Lights painted patterns on the ceiling. Somewhere in the distance, sirens wailed. Normal New York sounds that felt surreal in the bubble of their bedroom. We need to tell Kiara, Ji-hoon said eventually, about us, about me being her father. Naomi's hand stilled on his chest. I know. I've been thinking about it constantly. What are you worried about? That I've been keeping it from her too long. That she'll be confused? Or angry? That she'll ask why I didn't tell her sooner and I won't have a good answer. You have a perfectly good answer. You were protecting her. Making sure I was going to stick around before you disrupted her life. He tilted her chin up so she was looking at him. You're a good mother, Naomi. The best. Don't doubt that. When should we tell her? Soon. This week. She deserves to know. He paused. What do you think she'll say? Honestly, she'll probably ask if she can have ice cream. Naomi smiled. She's 5. Her priorities are different than ours. But I think she'll be happy. She asks about you constantly. When are we seeing Mr. Ji-hoon? Can Mr. Ji-hoon come to our house? Does Mr. Ji-hoon like dinosaurs as much as me? Ji-hoon's eyes softened. She talks about me? All the time. You're her favorite person who isn't me or her grandmother. I'm her father and she doesn't even know it. His voice cracked slightly. I hate that. I hate that I missed so much. Then don't miss anymore. Naomi propped herself up on her elbow, looking down at him. Let's tell her tomorrow. Take her to the park, the 3 of us. Tell her together. Tomorrow? Why wait? You said it yourself. She deserves to know. Naomi took a breath. And I think I deserve to stop hiding, to stop being afraid, to let myself have this. Have you. Have us. Ji-hoon pulled her down for a kiss, deep and slow and full of promise. When they broke apart, he was smiling. Tomorrow, then, we'll tell our daughter that her daddy loves her very much and is never leaving again. She's going to lose her mind, in a good way. I'm going to lose my mind, also in a good way. They came together again, slower this time, savoring every touch, every kiss, every moment of reconnection. After, Naomi fell asleep in Ji-hoon's arms, more content than she'd been in 4 years, more whole, more herself. She woke up to sunlight streaming through the windows and Ji-hoon's arm heavy across her waist. For a moment she thought she was dreaming, that she'd wake up and he'd be gone, and last night would have been just another fantasy her lonely brain had conjured. But then he stirred, pulling her closer, pressing a kiss to her shoulder. "Morning," he mumbled, his voice rough with sleep. "Morning." She turned in his arms to face him. His hair was messy, his eyes still half closed, stubble darkening his jaw. He looked absolutely perfect. "You're really here? Where else would I be?" "I don't know. I keep thinking I'm going to wake up." He kissed her thoroughly until she was breathless and completely convinced this was real. "Believe it now?" "Getting there. Might need more convincing." He laughed and kissed her again. They stayed in bed longer than they should have, talking and touching and making up for lost time. Finally, reluctantly, they got up, and Naomi threw on a robe, and they made breakfast together like they'd done it 1,000 times before. "I should go home and change before we pick up Kiara," Ji-hoon said, leaning against the counter with his coffee. "Unless you want her to know I spent the night. Let's tell her about you being her father first. Then we can ease into the mommy and daddy are together conversation." "Fair." He set down his cup and pulled her close. "Thank you. For last night. For this morning. For giving us another chance. Thank you for not giving up on me. Even when I gave you every reason to." They kissed, soft and sweet. And Naomi thought about how different this felt from kissing Aiden. Aiden's kisses had been pleasant but empty. Ji-hoon's kisses felt like coming home. An hour later, they picked up Kiara from Naomi's mother's house. Kiara launched herself at Ji-hoon the moment she saw him. "Mr. Ji-hoon, Mommy said we're all going to the park today." "We are." He lifted her up, settling her on his hip like it was the most natural thing in the world. "I heard there are new baby ducks at the pond." "Baby ducks!" Kiara squealed. "Can we feed them?" "If your mom says it's okay." "Can we, Mommy? Please?" Naomi's mother watched this interaction with knowing eyes. As they were leaving, she pulled Naomi aside. "That's the look," her mother said quietly. "What look?" "The look of a woman who finally stopped fighting what she wants." Her mother squeezed her hand. "I'm happy for you, baby. Both of you. All three of you. We're telling her today about Ji-hoon being her father. It's about time. That little girl deserves to know who her daddy is." She kissed Naomi's cheek. "And you deserve to be happy. Stop punishing yourself for the past and live in the present." At the park, they found a bench near the pond where families gathered to watch the ducks. Kiara ran ahead, pointing at the baby ducklings paddling after their mother. The early afternoon sun was warm, the park full of weekend energy. Normal people living normal lives. And for the first time in 4 years, Naomi felt like maybe they could be normal too. "Ready?" Ji-hoon asked quietly, his hand finding hers. "No. But let's do it anyway." They called Kiara over. She came running, her face flushed with excitement. "Did you see them? There's 6 babies." "We saw." Naomi patted the bench between them. "Come sit for a minute, sweetheart. We need to talk to you about something." Kiara's face turned serious in the way only children's faces could, going from pure joy to complete focus in an instant. "Okay." She climbed up between them, swinging her legs that didn't quite reach the ground yet. Naomi's heart was pounding. This was it. The moment that would change everything. She looked at Ji-hoon and saw her own nervousness reflected in his eyes. He nodded slightly. "Together." "Baby, you know how you've asked about your daddy before?" Naomi began. Kiara nodded, suddenly very still. "Uh-huh. Well, your mommy and I wanted to tell you something important," Ji-hoon said, his voice gentle. "About family and about me." Kiara looked between them, her dark eyes wide and curious. Waiting. Naomi took a breath. "Mr. Ji-hoon is your daddy, sweetheart. He's your father." For a moment, Kiara just blinked at them, processing. Then her little face scrunched up in confusion. "Really? Really?" Ji-hoon said. "I know I haven't been around your whole life, and I'm really sorry about that, but I'm here now. And I love you very, very much." "You're my daddy?" Kiara looked at Ji-hoon with something like wonder. "Yes, if that's okay with you." Is that why we look the same? She pointed at her eyes, then at his. Emma at school said we have the same eyes. Ji-hoon's laugh was watery. Yeah, baby. That's why. Kiara was quiet for another moment, her 5-year-old brain working through this information. Then she asked the most important question in her world. So, can I call you Daddy now? Instead of Mr. Ji-hoon? I would love that more than anything in the world. Okay. She said it so simply, like it was the most natural thing, like she'd been waiting for permission this whole time. Then, can I still have ice cream after we see the ducks? Naomi laughed through the tears that were suddenly streaming down her face. Yes, baby, you can have ice cream. Yay! Kiara threw her arms around Ji-hoon's neck. I always wanted a daddy. Emma said having a daddy is the best. Ji-hoon hugged her back, his face buried in her hair, his shoulders shaking. Naomi put her hand on his back, her other hand wiping her own tears. This was it. This was their family. Finally whole after 4 years of being broken. When Kiara pulled back, she looked between them again. Are you and Daddy going to get married? The question caught them both off guard. We're taking things one step at a time, sweetheart, Naomi managed. But you love each other, right? That's what people do when they love each other. They get married. It's a little more complicated than that, baby. Why? Why indeed? Out of the mouths of children. Because grown-ups are silly sometimes and make things complicated when they should be simple. Ji-hoon squeezed her hand. But your mom is right. We're taking it slow. Making sure we do things right this time. Okay. Kiara accepted this with the easy acceptance of children. Can we see the ducks now? I want to show Daddy the babies. Daddy. Ji-hoon's voice broke on the word. I'm never going to get tired of hearing that. They spent the rest of the afternoon as a family, feeding ducks, getting ice cream, playing on the playground. Kiara introduced Ji-hoon to every child she knew as my daddy, bursting with pride. Other parents who'd seen them at the park before smiled knowingly. The single mom had found her child's father. Sweet story, if only they knew the half of it. As the sun started to set, they walked back toward where they'd parked. Kiara held both their hands, swinging between them, chattering about how she was going to tell everyone at school about her daddy. I should go soon, Ji-hoon said quietly to Naomi. Let you two have your normal routine. Dinner, bath, bedtime. Or, Naomi stopped walking. You could stay. Have dinner with us. Help with bedtime. Be part of the routine. Are you sure? I'm sure. Come home with us. Home. The word hung in the air between them, heavy with meaning. His home was a hotel room. Hers was the penthouse. But maybe home was wherever the three of them were together. Back at the apartment, they ordered pizza and ate it on the living room floor, while Kiara told them every detail about her week at school that she'd forgotten to mention before. After dinner, Ji-hoon helped give her a bath, getting completely soaked in the process when Kiara decided to show him how far she could splash. Naomi watched from the doorway, her heart so full it hurt. Bedtime was a team effort. Naomi picked out pajamas while Ji-hoon read the bedtime story, doing funny voices for all the characters that made Kiara giggle. When it was time to tuck her in, Kiara hugged them both. I love you, Mommy. I love you too, baby. I love you, Daddy. Ji-hoon's eyes glistened. I love you too, Kiara. Sweet dreams. Will you be here in the morning? He looked at Naomi, uncertain. She nodded. Yeah, sweetheart, I'll be here. Good. Kiara snuggled into her blankets, Buddy the dinosaur tucked under her arm. I like it when we're all together. After she was asleep, Naomi and Ji-hoon retreated to the living room. They poured wine and sat on the couch, exhausted but happy. That went better than I expected, Naomi said. She took it so easily, like it was just another fact to learn. That's how kids are. They don't overcomplicate things like we do. She sipped her wine. We need to talk about logistics. I know. Ji-hoon set down his glass. My company is in Seoul. Yours is here. That's not sustainable long term. What are you thinking? I'm thinking I relocate Park Industries headquarters to New York. Keep Seoul as a regional office, but make this my base. Naomi's breath caught. That's massive, Ji-hoon. Your father will have to accept it. I already told him I'm staying in New York indefinitely. He wasn't happy, but I don't care. You and Kiara are my priority. Everything else is negotiable. You can't just uproot your entire company for us. I'm not uprooting for you. I'm choosing where I want to build my life. And I want to build it here. With you. With our daughter. He took her hand. But it'll take time. 6 months at least to transition everything properly. I'll have to go back and forth. 2 weeks there, 2 weeks here. That's a lot of travel. I know. But it's temporary. By the end of 6 months, I'll be based here permanently. Naomi processed this. 6 months of him being gone half the time. 6 months of Kiara asking where Daddy was. 6 months of maintaining a long-distance relationship while trying to rebuild what they'd lost. What about us? She asked. During the transition? What do you mean? I mean, are we together? Are we dating? Are we… She struggled to find the words. Ji-hoon shifted to face her fully. I'm all in, Naomi. I want to be with you. I want to be a family. I want to wake up next to you every morning and fall asleep next to you every night. But I also want to do this right. Not rush. Not make the same mistakes. So what does that look like? It looks like me being here as much as possible. It looks like us figuring out how to be partners and parents and maybe eventually more. It looks like building something real and lasting instead of rushing into something that might fall apart again. And when you're here, when you're in New York, he smiled. When I'm here, I want to be here. With you. With Kiara. If you'll have me. I'll have you. She moved closer into his space. When you're here, you stay here. With us. This is your home too now. Whenever you're in New York, this is where you belong. Are you asking me to move in? Eventually. When the transition is done and you're based here permanently. But until then, yes. When you're in the city, you're here. No more hotel rooms. Ji-hoon cupped her face in his hands. I love you. You know that, right? I know. I love you too. They kissed, slow and deep, and Naomi marveled at how different this felt from everything with Aiden. This was real. This was right. This was home. Over the next week, things fell into a pattern. Ji-hoon spent every night at the apartment. They had breakfast together as a family, dropped Kiara at school together, navigated bath time and bedtime together. It was domestic and mundane, and absolutely perfect. Naomi's mother met Ji-hoon officially as Kiara's father and gave him the grandmother's speech about not breaking her daughter's heart again. He took it with grace and promised he wouldn't. Naomi's colleagues noticed she was different, lighter, happier. She didn't hide it anymore. Let herself smile when Ji-hoon texted during the day. Let herself leave work on time to have dinner with her family. Her family. The words still felt surreal. 2 weeks after they told Kiara, Ji-hoon had to make his first trip back to Seoul. The night before he left, after Kiara was in bed, he and Naomi lay tangled together in her bedroom. I don't want to go, he said quietly. I don't want you to go either. But it's only 2 weeks. 2 weeks feels like forever. We'll video call every day, and you'll be back before you know it. He kissed her forehead. When I come back, we should tell people, officially, about us. People as in the press, our companies, the world. I'm tired of hiding. I want everyone to know you're mine and I'm yours. Naomi's heart swelled. Okay. When you get back, we'll make it official. I'm going to miss you. Both of you. We'll miss you too. The next morning, Kiara cried when Ji-hoon left for the airport. He promised to call every day, to bring her back something special, to be home soon. After he was gone, the apartment felt empty in a way it hadn't before he'd been there. But true to his word, he called every day. Video chats with Kiara before bedtime. Late-night calls with Naomi after Kiara was asleep. Texts throughout the day. Pictures of Seoul, of his meetings, of how much he missed them. 2 weeks later, when he walked through the door of her apartment, Kiara launched herself at him, and Naomi wasn't far behind. They held each other in the entryway, a tangle of arms and love and relief. "Welcome home," Naomi whispered. "Home," Ji-hoon repeated, looking around at the apartment, at their daughter, at the woman he loved. "Yeah, I'm home." And for the first time in 4 years, Naomi felt complete. They had a long way to go still. Challenges to face, logistics to figure out, old wounds to fully heal. But they were together. They were a family. And that was enough. That was everything. So there you have it. A family finally united after years of resentment and misunderstandings. If you're not already subscribed, hit that button right now and smash that like button if you're absolutely living for the stories we upload on this channel, because trust me, we're just getting started. Thank you for watching.